So since I was a little girl, innately inside of me, I always felt this desire to just be there for people to speak to, anybody. I would speak to taxi drivers, anybody and anyone that wanted to talk to me, I would give a listening ear. And from when I was like 5, I told my mom, I'm like, one day I'm gonna have my own show and I'm gonna inspire people all over the world just through their journey. I'm the co-founder of a global fashion platform called Fashion Innovation. I'm a speaker. I've been around the world to Saudi Arabia, Panama City. I've written a book called It Can Be You, Humanizing Homelessness. And then I'm also a mother of 2 little girls. So I feel like that's a job in itself, and it's the most beautiful job. All of us have a book inside of us. I think everybody has this like beautiful story to share, and sometimes not enough people to listen, but when people do listen, if 1 or 2 people resonate, it can empower those lives. So that's why today you're joining me here on It Can Be You with Jordana. Few years ago, I met the founder of TED Talks and we had a really long, good conversation. And he said when he founded TED Talks, the only reason he founded a company was because he wanted to know about certain people's lives. He actually didn't care about who other people wanted to see on stage. He invited who he was curious to learn more about. So we're always watching stories of these incredible people, you know, on television, on interviews, and as they're speaking, we're thinking, I can never do that. That can't be me. With this podcast, I want us to reverse that mindset and start thinking, it can be you. These are soul-to-soul conversations with trailblazers and entrepreneurs unraveling the why behind their journey and their success.
Strap yourself in because you're in for like a really wild ride.
I was not considered pretty. I was considered gangly and bucktooth. Those are just some nicknames along with Olive Oil and Bucky Beaver. I had frizzy curly hair, glasses. I was more content climbing trees and drawing and writing and escaping into nature in a fantasy world.
I never thought of myself as really pretty or beautiful. But when I was offered to model in Toronto, I started to realize, oh, I'm kind of cute.
They see us on the runway, those like a minute on the runway, they don't see what happened before that there were hundreds of rejections, hours of castings, the whole process before that minute of glory on the runway.
There's no leg. Huge quads. Like a drumstick.
Videos just come up on my Instagram of like these orthodontists analysing my teeth and going, so what she has here is a whatever the hell it is. I don't know what the hell it is. And they like dissect my teeth and say what's wrong with it, but then at the end go, but we don't think she should change a thing. And it's like, oh my God, it feels so lovely after a real full circle moment after being bullied for my teeth forever, and now people are clapping in an audience because I've got these lashes.
Well, I retired from modeling because I thought I was too old and I wanted to leave before they kicked me out. And I think the world has changed in so many ways. And I remember saying that I wanted diversity to be boring and it just to be normal. And so many people around the globe have been saying, please come back, please come back, please come back. And I have said no for like almost 10 years. And I just dipped my toe. Kim Kardashian says, do Skims. I'm like, all right. Victoria's Secret, come walk this runway. All right. But now I'm like, you know what? Let's do this. Because it's not just about me. I think it's about Black women. I think it's about older women. And I'm ready to represent.
Saying that you want to be a model when you grow up is akin to saying that you want to win the Powerball when you grow up. People ask me is, you know, what is it like to be a model? And I think the answer that they're looking for is if you are a little bit skinnier and you have shinier hair, you will be so happy and fabulous. And when we're backstage, we give an answer that maybe makes it seem like that. We say, it's really amazing to travel, and it's amazing to get to work with creative, inspired, passionate people. And those things are true, but they're only one half of the story, because the thing that we never say on camera, that I have never said on camera, is I am insecure.
So these clips are resurfacing because the time to act is now. And this is why today I'm having the pleasure of sitting down with Dale Noelle, CEO and founder of True Model Management, to speak about what is going on in the modeling industry today, where is it going, and what are we as the people doing to make those changes happen. You're listening to It Can Be You with Jordana. And today I'm here with Dale Noelle, founder and CEO of True Model Management. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me, Jordana. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm so thrilled. So Dale, for those watching this episode who don't know you, how would you define yourself? Who is Dale Noelle?
Wow, that's a great question. No one's ever asked me that before. Well, I honestly don't think anyone could define me because I'm always evolving, and I feel that putting a definition to something is kind of limiting, and I feel like I'm limitless, so there is no end. But if you're asking about my traits and my values, things like that, I would say I have like raw honesty. I love adventure. I thrive on meeting people, picking their brains, getting to know what makes them tick, and my passion is connecting those people to others and just building communities. And I think I get that from my grandmother from Italy. Everyone lived at her home and brought everyone together. So I love bringing people together and helping everyone.
That's beautiful. And actually, when you said that, it reminds me of that song, Natasha Bedingfield's, Feel the Rain on Your Skin. It's like
I love that one.
It's like your life and you live it to the utmost potential of what you feel you want to live, right? I feel like that's beautiful, everything you said. I love that. So tell me a little bit about True Model Management and about the company and what you've built.
Oh, well, True Model Management was not exactly planned. I was a model with a successful career at the time, and I was unexpectedly pregnant, and then a few months later found out I had cancer, so my career abruptly stopped.
Wow.
So from there, that's when True was born. So it was kind of a blessing in disguise. I had the idea of it before. When I was a model, I was always thinking, how can the industry be better? If I was to do this, I would, be very supportive and help people and guide them and be very detail-oriented. So when the opportunity came, I pivoted and said, you know what? I've been connecting people in this industry for about 20 years. Everyone's been asking me to manage them. Clients would always call on me for friends and referrals. And from there, I said, oh, well, that's a natural progression. I have to start my management company now. So that's when True was born. And from the beginning, True was all about wellness and empowering models to be the best version of themselves. We never told models, you have to be this ideal. We work with what you have and make it even better. So one of the big questions that when people would walk in, especially in the beginning, were like, how much weight do I have to lose? And how tall do I have to be? And we're like, I don't know. Well, I think you're beautiful the way you are. I mean, I didn't know any better. I knew the modeling world, but I'm like, oh, wow, I love this person. I love the energy. I love, what this person has to offer. So let's see how we can market this and make it their business. And from the brand side of our business at True Model Management, we just try to service as best we can to do it efficiently, effectively, pay attention to a lot of details, ask a lot of questions, and connect them to the model that's best for their needs.
That's amazing. Well, I heard a lot in what you just described to be true, just a lot of connecting people, helping people, letting them be authentically themselves, finding the beauty based on their energy and who they are. And it really seems like everything that you do comes from a spiritual side based on what you've explained. And even with your journey with having had cancer when you were pregnant and having that pivot your career, but still wanting to help others. So talk to me a little bit through, when you found out that you had cancer and you were pregnant and you had to make that pivot. Like, how was that for you? Can you get into that a little bit with me?
Sure. Everything happened very quickly. It was like, I'm sitting there in the office. They're like, okay, here's the situation. We need to get you into surgery very quickly. There's not much we can do for you. They didn't know what caused it. They didn't even know exactly what I had because they couldn't do any diagnostic testing or in-depth kind of testing. I had some basic tests, and they said, we've got to go under the knife and figure it out and get everything out. So I don't remember the exact dates, but I think it was like within a week I was already like hospitalized. So I didn't have much time to think about it. Luckily, I had an incredible team of surgeons, and I was actually lucky that I was pregnant because they couldn't do chemotherapy or radiation on me. And when they removed my tumors, they said that it wouldn't have helped. They didn't realize what it was until they got out the mass. And, they prepared me that you might not be able to talk, you might not be able to eat, you might not be able to swallow. And, I couldn't talk after. I had to go through therapy and exercises. And I always kind of laugh about it, that every time I had surgery, I had cancer 3 times, the same type of surgery, and one time a little more involved with lymph nodes. But after every surgery, I would just start talking and wanted to eat. I didn't eat. I had to be on liquid diets, but it was the talking. And I popped stitches every time. And then when I would get better, they're like, I'd start talking again, whatever it was, a month or 2 later. And they're like, wow, you could talk. And I was like, oh yeah, that's not going to stop me.
I love that. And I feel like, it's funny, but my little sister had bone cancer and she was a wish child, and the doctor said that she wouldn't survive it. She was 16, so they thought that she wasn't going to make it. But based on what you're telling me with your story, it just feels like you have this lively spirit about you, and no one is going to kind of contain who is Dale Noelle, and that's what pushed you forward to survive the cancer 3 times, which is incredible. And I look at my sister's journey, and it was kind of the same situation where Make-A-Wish said, this is it for her.
Wow.
But because she has this spirit of, I'm not going to give up, I think that's where I really do think that mentally there's a lot that goes into, surviving something like cancer. And so that's amazing. That's a beautiful story. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. So tell me a little bit about Dale Noelle, the little girl.
Oh, Dale Noelle, the little girl.
And who you are today. Is it did you grow, do you look at your life now and say, it makes sense because when I was a little girl, this, or was it kind of circumstances in life that evolved to where you are today?
I would say it's a little bit of both. I did have a recurring dream. It was a long dream. I'll try to shorten it. But my recurring dream as a little girl, I would be on a farm and doing manual labor and have a lot of sisters and brothers and, be dirty and working hard. And then a limo would come. I'd get off the tractor and a limo would come by, sweep me up and bring me to New York City or a big city. And I lived in the penthouse, with my smaller family, kind of like Annie or something. I think Annie was the first Broadway show that I saw. So I think it was around that time. And then, then it was I'm a surfer, going to the beach. And it had every part of the world and any place that I knew of was in my dream, and I would pop up everywhere and have it was still me inside, a good-natured little girl, but I took on all the adventures. I loved Pippi Longstocking. I don't know, I'm dating myself, but I used to love that show. She was so adventurous, and
that's amazing. So. I mean, intuitively looking at that dream, it speaks a lot about who you are today, right? So the farm, I see all of those people that were around you as your talent and as the people that you're connecting. You having all of these different, going to New York City and then surfing. It's almost like all of the different things inside of you that you're populating into what you're doing today, right? Which is kind of surreal, actually. I love those recurring dreams,
Yeah, so I didn't really plan it or think about it, but most things in my life happen organically, and I think more so as I get older. I used to try and control things a little bit more and, be a worrier, but now I'm more the warrior, and go with the flow too, though.
That's amazing. Well, and what you do, modeling many ways, body positivity, mental health going into that, just a lot of struggles that some models have. And I know that, with everything that's going on with controversy with Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders and Tyra Banks' comments on America's Next Top Model, tell me a little bit about your thoughts behind that, especially because you've always been such an advocate for expressing the real beauty in someone, and not just looking for what the, let's say, textbook beauty is supposed to be. I love your thoughts on all of that.
Well, I do have firsthand experience with the scrutiny and the competition and the quest for the perfect body. I was, as a preteen, a very high-level competitive baton twirler and a gymnast. You have to be a gymnast, a dancer, baton twirler. It was a little bit of everything, and we compete all over. And when we weren't competing, we would do halftime shows and different performances like Madison Square Garden, the Meadowlands Arena, all these big big places. And I remember that our coach put everyone on a diet. And no one even had any body fat on. You couldn't, couldn't for this type of, we trained literally 6 to 8 plus hours a day. And that was every day. So she had said, we have to wear these certain uniforms, we have to look good, and the world's going to be watching, and everyone has to be healthy. She was promoting it like as healthy, though.
Yeah.
And when she said healthy, I knew I was very thin at that time. I was like borderline anorexic weight as I was, but I was healthy and really, really strong. But I took everything my teachers, my doctors said to a T, and I do everything to like 150, 200%. So when she said healthy, I cut out everything. Like we all stopped going to Burger King. We all stopped eating ice cream. I took it even farther when I was home and not in her sight too. I'd be like, okay, I'll have boiled chicken. I'm not going to eat the one that's sauteed. I'll have, skim milk. I don't know. I loved whole milk. It was just like everything. I was like, okay, I'll be better. I'll be better. So I lost weight. I became severely anorexic, and I was supposed to be in the hospital. My parents kept me home a little longer, trying to treat me at home. I went down. I didn't start out as heavy, but I was 58 pounds.
Wow.
I was really sick. And when you lose that much body fat, and you have no body fat, your brain doesn't work right. It's like, I knew my mind wasn't working right. You're freezing all the time, everything. I couldn't sleep. But the good part about it is my pediatrician, not the anorexia doctor and all these psychiatrists and specialists, it was my pediatrician who just really sat down with me and was just like, are you happy? What are you doing? You're a beautiful, strong girl, and now you can't even think straight. And, so, and I exercised excessively, which I had always done growing up anyway, but in a much more healthy way, I would go extreme. But one day it just clicked between my parents, crying all the time, and it was horrible. But something just clicked in me one day, and when something clicks with me and I put my mind to it, it was literally, I'm like, okay, Mom, bring on the food. And I just, it was painful. It was really painful getting better, physically painful. The mental part, I got stronger and stronger every day, and I really got over it and never went back.
That's
so
incredible.
I feel very lucky and fortunate. I have a very supportive family, and I just had the will, there's no way, I'm just going to be the strongest healthy person I can.
So I was bullied in high school because
too.
I was taller, middle school, high school, and then I stopped eating, and I remember it was either so they called me Chewbacca, which, I've never talked about it out loud till today, but it kind of still brings up memories, and I get emotional about it. And I remember because I had big hair, and I was very tall, and I was overweight a little bit, but nothing crazy. When I look back at pictures now, I'm like, why was I so crazy to listen to them? And then it went from them calling me that to them following me in the bathroom and laughing and saying, are you throwing up because you're losing weight? Are you bulimic? And da-da-da. So it was you couldn't win, And I remember being in my mom's kitchen one day and just passing out and waking up and pee, and ambulances there, and the doctor telling my mom a few more seconds and she would have been brain damaged for good if I had not, because the air wasn't coming in anymore. So it was a very traumatic experience. But like I said, innately, I think spiritually and all of that, I think, and I never went to therapy, and I'm very lucky that I know how to listen to my inner voice, because as soon as that happened and I'm laying in a hospital bed, I was like, no, this is not you. You don't need this. And so I really appreciated your story.
Yeah, something just clicked sometimes. You have to listen to yourself. I think myself included, I didn't always listen to myself and go with my gut or do what feels right. If you follow that, the journey's much smoother.
I loved your story with that. And speaking of that, actually, I think it's beautiful because there's a Fashion Workers Act, right? The bill. And most recently you partnered with Fashion Ovation, which, funny enough, I co-founded, right? Which I love that so much, because I think Fashion Ovation, when we founded a business, was all about bringing people together. So there's such synergy there. Tell me a little bit about what you're doing now to, let's say, make it richer, make it better, help more people with that bill? Like, what are you and Fashion Innovation, True and Fashion Innovation coming together to do with that act?
Sure. Well, like with most things in my life and businesses, it's organic and an opportunity presents itself or people are asking me for things. Many years ago, I would talk with advocacy groups and, even when I was back as a model, and I'm like, oh, what can we do to make this better? And then I'd call, SAG and the CAA and like, what are the laws? Like, can we improve this? And I'm not the one who initiated the bill at all, but I've always supported having laws and even as a manager, not as a model, seeking like how it can protect us, the people and the businesses. And when it really came to the media's attention, a group of small, like boutique model management companies. We formed a little, group, nothing official at all, just, some emails like, hey, what do you think we could do? Let's write letters to our legislators. They need to understand what our business is. They're not understanding the nuances and the intricacies. So we would mainly write letters for years, make some calls, and then the major agencies called me to talk with them. So I never officially joined like a coalition or anything like that. I never hired a lobbyist or a lawyer, but I did participate in a lot of the meetings and I spoke on behalf of models, on managers. I've worked in I can't say every aspect, but many. I owned a fashion brand. I was in sales in fashion. My dad owned apparel factories. I was a model with independently after I was for 20 years or so with the largest agency in the world. So, and now being a model manager, I understand and I've lived all the different angles. So I think that's why one of the groups would say, oh, why don't you speak, Dale? And I was more the softer side of the management side because it was always like bringing the models into my home and supporting them and kind of nurturing more motherly like and not so like cutthroat business, because to me it's more about the people than the business. But it just so happens everything that I've done that I didn't realize was a good business move was just me acting naturally out of like trying for the betterment of people. So up until it became a law, I was trying to explain to them what we need. Now that it's become a law, I'm very happy there is a law, but I am very disappointed in the law because the wording is inaccurate. There's so much confusion. So since it became law in December, every day I'm bombarded with emails, phone calls. Dale, can you call me? What do we do? Are the contracts null and void? Models asking me, what's this? Oh, when are we getting paid? I'm like, no, that's not what it says. I was to dinner with a casting director the other night. They're like, oh, it's going to be great. We're going to be paid in 30 days now. I'm like, the law doesn't say that. Like, there's nothing about getting paid in it, just little things, but some of them actually aren't to the benefit if you have a good manager. But so anyway, so I joined up with Fashion Innovation. It was just out of a conversation. And as you said, we have synergies and are aligned in our vision. So I was like, you know what? I need to bring this public and unite the industry because, I can't do one email, one phone call, and I'm not a lawyer. I feel like I could be one with all the contracts and legal work I do every day. But so I started calling lawyers. I called the people who initiated the law. We've got emails and calls out to legislators. And we're putting together an open a meeting, like a summit or a town hall, and we'll have, it'll be mostly educational, unifying, educational, get the facts clear, objective, just everyone to be friends. We're a team. The models, the managers, the brands, we all work together for a common goal. So I want people to realize that and not beat each other up in the media over and over. We're all working together.
I love that. And I think, we've seen with everything that's happened in the world, power of the people, right? You don't need anymore to have it be somewhere who holds it tight, like a lawyer or, it's just people. Like if we really speak up for what we want and you have a group, a collective behind you,
exactly,
that can go so long. So
exactly.
I think that's amazing. So, and another thing you mentioned, which is interesting to me, I used to past life, I always say I'm like a cat. I've had many lives. I think we all do, right?
Yeah, I've had more than 9 for sure.
And I used to work events where models would, I would hear them speak to designers. Designers wouldn't pay them or would want them to work for free. And so many things that would take place with that I was like, how can anyone expect someone to just work for free? Like, how is that sustainable, right? And how is that fair in any type of way? So I love that you're doing the work that you're doing. I think it's super, super important. I would love to end with this, and then I'm going to go to a rapid, little fireside thing. But I would love to ask you, where do you see the modeling industry, how it's shifted? And actually, before that, I'm going to go back a little bit. Victoria's Secret.
Oh, right.
Company that I'm very impressed by based on where they were and where they are, and how they really embrace inclusivity in a very organic way today in their, ad campaigns, and how they're really embracing real women. And so I'd love for you, because they're one of your clients, I'd love for you to tell me a little bit about and this goes with the last question too, but how do you see with mental health and where we are going forward to as an industry with inclusivity, and what Victoria's Secret and other brands are kind of following suit? How do you see that playing in the future? Like, where is the future, let's say, of the modeling industry in your vision?
Well, I feel the future of the modeling industry hopefully will stay on the trajectory that it is right now. And yes, I commend Victoria's Secret. I was a Victoria's Secret model for many, many years. Used to go to Columbus once a week for a long time. And I've seen them grow and change. And I believe that people are starting to look inner, inside more, and combining the inner and the outer beauty. And they're... when True Model Management started, a lot of our clients are saying, oh, your models are role models. They're not just pretty. They have depth. They're smart. They have a passion. They have a purpose. So I feel like, especially with social media and all media attention, models aren't just a pretty face on a page or just a body in a catalog. Like, they have their whole being. And Victoria's Secret is doing a great job of that. And we worked on the project for adaptable innerwear, so that people who have disabilities and
that's beautiful,
that they can feel beautiful in their garments and be able to get out of them, more easily.
That's incredible.
In and out of them.
I love that. So speaking about Victoria's Secret, when you were a model, how did you know to follow your gut in jobs that you did, how you put yourself, out there, how you represented yourself? How did you do that as a model when you didn't have someone that was kind of giving you let's say the roadmap?
Well, I did create my own path and my own roadmap. I followed my gut, and I followed my values and integrity, sort of my upbringing. Everything in our home was you clean up after yourself, you respect other people's property and your own, you help people to better their craft, or teach people if you know something. So I was just acting myself, really. I didn't know it was good business. And even people later on oh, you're such a great networker. I'm like, what's networking? I didn't know what the word was at that time. And this was a long time ago. But I'm just I just love people. I'm so I was genuinely interested in people. And then I would get excited about connecting them. And as far as being a model and in life, I really feel like you need to self-advocate, because no one else is really going to be having your back. And most of the times in life, you're by yourself. So if you're not sticking up for yourself, there may be no one there. So you have to be able to stand alone and hold your ground. And, if anyone on the job or in life is trying to do something to you or, with you that does not feel comfortable or sits right with you or is against your values, you definitely need to speak up, whether you lose the job or not, know. And I feel that if you have a good guiding force in your mind, that strong mindset, I really think the mind sets your journey, sets your life, it sets your physical clock. Because even though when I've had so many physical ailments and near-death experiences with many things, it was my mind that always pulled me through.
Yeah.
It's that fortitude, that internal fortitude. So I think models really need to work on confidence. I didn't always have confidence. So once I built up the confidence and realized that, you can do this. Like, why are you beating yourself up? You don't have to be perfect. I was a perfectionist, and that led to my anorexia too, and other downfalls in my life. It's like perfect is not right. It's like do the right thing.
Yeah. No, I think the most beautiful things to me in people or even in places is when something is imperfect. It gives the character, right? It makes it interesting.
Yep.
If something is too perfect, you're kind of like,
Yeah. I believe that now. I didn't always. I'm like, yeah, it has to be perfect.
Yeah. But that's amazing. And I mean, being imperfect is perfect because
I agree.
you're living what you're supposed to live. Like, life is not supposed to just be like this,
Yes.
right? It's supposed to be like this.
Yeah.
And that's how we, So I think it's...
Yeah. I'm thankful for obstacles, actually, because if you don't have any obstacles and it's a smooth road and you never learn anything, you never feel anything. Like, I'm a very passionate person and get very involved. So I don't think I'd have that. And the grit, you really have to, it develops character and grit. You can't be so sensitive.
And you open yourself up to learning new things too.
Absolutely, yeah. I love to be open to learning new things.
I remember just the last thing, but when I went through a divorce recently, and I'm Jewish, and I started going to church. And I don't know why, but I was like, because I was going through, you go through things when you first separate with someone. And I remember I thought, if I go to church, maybe there's going to be messages there that I haven't seen before. So I did. And it wasn't about Jesus, it's not about God, but it was about the message. And when I first stepped in, I just was hearing the sermon, I think you call it. And I just started hysterically crying, but it made me feel so good. So for about 6 months, I was just like a churchgoer every Sunday.
Wow, me too. I just started going again too. I didn't go for so many years. I went as a child, Christian upbringing, but then many years I didn't go, and during COVID, I found one church up in Harlem that I absolutely love. And whenever I'm in New York on a Sunday, I always go there, and then I walk through Central Park on the way home, and I just wow, I take my notebook, I take notes, I cry, I laugh, I meet people. I was just like, oh my gosh, you're amazing. I'm a big hugger too. So even during COVID, if people were hugging, I'm like, yes, thank you. I was like, I need my hugs.
Well, this has been a lot of fun, and I'm excited to get some quick questions that I'm going to throw at you. So when we speak about spirituality in general, right? We have the mind, the body, the spirit. And I'm wondering, how do you feed your mind?
Well, my mind, my body, and my spirit, I would say I am very much an advocate or a practitioner of deep breathing techniques, and I think that comes from my father. My whole life, he's like, you gotta breathe, and I'm like, what does he mean, breathe? Of course I'm breathing, I didn't get it till I was much older, and I'm like, wow, it really works with everything, but and improves your life in many ways. As far as the mind, I would say my mind, I like to keep it stimulated all the time. I'm always challenging myself. I love spending time with intelligent and interesting people and going on adventures, and I'm very curious, so I ask a lot of questions. So I feel like those are the most ways that I keep an open mind. I'm very open-minded.
Yeah,
so.
And spirit?
Spirit, let's see. My soul and my spirit, I would say nature. I'm very connected with nature. Okay. And I didn't realize it before. Things that I would do ever since I was a kid, like somebody was talking about the other day, earthing, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I would take my shoes off in school all the time and walk around without my shoes and get in trouble for walking home without my shoes on. It could be any season. I just didn't want shoes. So it's like, I love the ocean. I mean, mountains, everything, but ocean is my... It's my oasis, yes. And I believe in God, and I do believe that we're all here for a greater purpose, and it's not all about us. So, with my soul and my spirit, I'm always, empathetic and just want to see how we can all do better in the world and help each other.
I love that so much. You're a very enlightened individual. So the last question I have for you is, what's a quote that you live by that you would like to leave to the audience?
Be the change you wish to see in the world.
I
is
love
one of my
that.
favorites.
And that
Be the
personifies you perfectly with everything you're doing. That's beautiful. I love that. Thank you so much, Dale. It was a pleasure. So I just spoke to Dale Noelle, CEO and founder of True Model Management. When you can tap into your true purpose behind what it is that you're doing, and you focus on the mind, body, spirit of who you are as a person, and you have these soulful connections like I did with Dale, you can really find out that through her journey in beating cancer 3 times, in uniting a collective around a Fashion Workers Act, which is a bill to protect models' rights, and using her own hurdles that she's gone through as a model to amplify the potential and also the belief in young models' minds as they start in this journey, is when real magic happens and when you can really make a difference in the world. So in listening to her story, I hope that you out there know that it too can be you.